I would like to explore in your role now, what is the biggest challenge you face while building safety culture in a military base?
Mm, that's a loaded question. I'm gonna give you a scenario, and this is something that I tell people, and it always piques their interest. You come in as a safety professional. Say you're assigned we call it a wing. A wing is a business unit. So say you're in charge of a wing that could have anywhere around 1,000 to 2,000 active duty reservists, members assigned to that wing. You have a commander. We can call him the CEO. So right when you get your commander and you're a safety professional, you know how hard sometimes it is to get that buy-in, that stakeholder buy-in from the commander and let them know the biggest intent of safety and what we do and how they can support and what we may need from them. So you talk to that commander, you build a relationship, you build a relationship. Slowly they come around to your way of thinking. Slowly they come around to what safety is. And right when you get them where you want him or her, they leave. In 2 more years, the process starts over. And you get them to where they want, they leave. And so I've had right now, just call them CEOs. I've had 8 that I have to reset, start over, sales pitch, business case, give them educated and trained on what is safety, top down, what we need them to do to make sure that we're protected. And and as you can see, that culture, it can take many shapes and forms and it can start all over. But the biggest thing what we try to do is a safety office of where I work now. Once we set our core foundation of how we want and really knowing our area of responsibility and how it thrives and how we keep people safe and keep the mission going, we try to make sure we have some continuity in place. So when they do come in, everything is kind of established and then we can make that culture. And one thing you guys may know of the military, something else can be a unicorn. We don't really have one culture. We have thousands of subcultures. So now we have to paint big picture culture, Air Force, but all the subcultures to make sure that, hey, everybody's still on the same accord. And sometimes it can be a daunting task, but it's well worth it because I think that's what we're in the business for. You can see those tangible benefits when it actually takes shape and the commander comes around or the stakeholders come around and the group commanders is what we call those guys also. And they're like, hey, you know what, that policy or that program or that process or that training, I get it now. And that's always the benefit. So that's always the best part.
In this way, discipline, I know, is part of the military culture. So, how you can add value in a culture transformation, in a safety culture transformation? Do you see this as a add value or not?
It's a gift and a curse because we can lead with the iron fist also because we have it's called RHIP. Rank has its privileges. And so based on how much rank you have, the person under you will have to do what you say. But that's one of the disadvantages of safety. They're doing it not understanding the why.
Mm.
And so that's where the training and the learning comes in at and the coaching comes in at. Like I don't want it to just let you know, do this. No, this is why we wear PPE, or this is why you have to not walk on the wing of that aircraft, or this is why you have to learn these programs and processes and motorcycle and wear a helmet and all those little things that they consider to be real nuanced. Once we're able to grab their attention and release content and messaging and have one-on-one conversations, they start to really understand like, oh, okay, this is safety. And I pride myself or my team do. We joke all the time. We've never had a slogan. We're anti-slogan because sometimes slogans can be misinterpreted. And we always felt it was a little bit better to just be straight shooters, be as direct as possible, but at the same time, be empathetic too. Because being the discipline piece and many other things in the military, it may prove to be an advantage, but when you're dealing with safety, it always backfire because they're just doing it with no specific reason or intent behind it. And so pretty soon when you turn your head, they're gonna go right back to the old way. And that culture is pretty much destroyed just as quick as you built it.
Okay.
I'm really curious about your comment about the thousands of safety cultures because, and maybe this is the wrong way of thinking, but when I think about the military, I think about an organization that has certain ways of doing things because you need people to work together to achieve a common mission. Is that the same with safety as well? Or how should we think about these different safety cultures that might exist?
It is. It's the common goal. It's the big mission. But just like I kind of spoke to earlier, you have hundreds of wings who has their very own safety manager. So the way you may run your wing, the next person may not. Even though we have the same purpose as big picture Air Force or
Mhm.
big picture Army, big picture Navy,
Mhm.
but we may do safety, as we like to call it. We may do safety differently.
Mm.
And right now, that can prove to be a disadvantage because now when that person comes from that wing to your wing, they're used to doing safety a certain way. Now they have to buy into your culture. And so you have to integrate that person.
Mm.
You have to embed them with, these are our values, and this is what we hold true to this specific base of what we consider to be my area of responsibility. This is how we do safety, and this is what's going to keep us safe, and this is what's going to remove you from any hazard, minimize that risk, and get you home every day to your wife, your kid, your parents. That's our intent. That's the purpose. So
Mm.
that's when you have the multitude of cultures. And sometimes they can clash, but it takes you having your culture kind of set in stone and you're willing to bend somewhat just to make sure that we can execute the mission the correct way. But sometimes it comes and you mentioned it, the discipline can come in a little bit, but you have to do it this way here. And I know how you did it there and it was effective, but here it's way more important because we have a totally different purpose in
So
what we
it
do.
sounds like they allow the different units to have flexibility given the context. Is that how it
Absolutely,
works? Yeah.
absolutely. You have to. We try to, and we're just rolling this out. One thing you guys may, if you didn't know, I'll be the first to. I like to pull back the curtain a little bit. I love the institution, but at the same time, it's some things that, of course, we always have to improve. And sometimes we can be slow on the draw. So the way it can be advancing on the outside in the civilian world, the military is a little bit more policy. It takes a little while to come around. So now we're really taking more of a risk standpoint, not as much safety. Still safety, EHS is going to be there, but far more risk. And with that risk, we're doing way more risk-based decision making. Like you're the onus in this. If you're put in this situation and you have to make this work at this time, regardless of what protocol says, I need you to weigh the scenario, go through your protocol in your mind of how you've been trained, and you have to make the best decision possible. We give you the onus to do that in this specific case. So we've really been facilitating that risk-based decision making lately. And it's just due to the climate right now. Just rolling out SOPs and instruction after instruction that may have been good 10, 20 years ago, but right now it's not because we're dealing with and everybody sees it. We're dealing with a whole different demographic. It's two infamous words, Gen Z and millennials. You can't just give them structure. They have to have some leverage to execute because normally when they execute, they're going to teach us old Gen X's and baby boomers something too. And so we're starting to really notice that. Unfortunately, a lot of leadership within the Air Force, they understand that also. And so they're really behind it. And that's all we want. That's the ultimate, I would say, emphasis on stakeholder engagement. That's it. Just try to know what we're doing. What's the mission? How can we make it more efficient? How can we stop people from getting hurt? Because our people getting hurt is different than productivity. Our people getting hurt is now when it comes time for something simple as combat, we don't have those bodies to go over there. So it's a totally different purpose of kind of what we safeguard.